The greatness and grandeur of the Old Kingdom comes to an end. The fall of the Old Kingdom is based on several years of crop failures. There had been a drought, so the Nile was not able to flood and feed the people. There was also an exhausting of the state treasure because of all of these grandiose pyramids and building structures or building projects. There also had been some regional divisions between the upper and the lower Egypt. So there was civil unrest, and there had been an invasion of desert tribes from the west. And with that, they had taken advantage of the weakening empire, and there was a few years in which there was no united Egyptian empire. What we find is that the unity is restored in the Middle Kingdom. So we define our Middle Kingdom as the reunification or the restoring of the empire. We also see changes being made. There's changes in terms of the societal structure, regulations of officials. There's a new middle class, a merchant class that develops. And we see the higher status of artisans and farmers during the Middle Kingdom. We also see increases in irrigation technology that most likely were brought about because of those failed crops. And a striking kind of, lack of a better word, democratization of religion. What? Democratization? Basically, rather than just the nobility getting all of these fancy burials, we start to see everyday people and merchants and those who had the means could also have more elaborate burials. So the new idea was that there was hope for the common man in the afterlife, not just the pharaohs. But of course, our artworks that we're going to look at are pharaohs, our kings. This is our first artwork, and he is one of my favorite. His name is Senusret. Now, you might see his name spelled in various ways, Senusret or, oh goodness gracious, I'm blanking on the other ways of spelling his name. But it's only, again, because we're not quite sure how to pronounce ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. So here we are looking at Senusret III, and he was a ruler who had united most of the Egyptians against foreign rule and against invasion. He fought 4 major wars, one with the enemies in Nubia, which is modern-day Sudan, and several civil revolts. And we see it in his face. I give a heavy sigh because look at this man. This artwork here is a fragment of a larger portrait, official royal portrait of Senusret. And it helps us understand a change in art between the Old Kingdom and the Middle Kingdom. In the Middle Kingdom, we start to see a more naturalistic representation. What do I mean? Well, compare. How are they different? Yes, they're both leaders, they're both kings, but how would you describe Senusret? He's frowning. He's tired. His eyes are heavy with worry, regret. I just told you, he fought 4 major wars with Nubia, and then he also had to fight civil unrest in Egypt. This man has seen and done a lot. He's experienced pain and sacrifice and suffering for a united greater good. And it's going to come across in his imagery to show you why he's such a strong leader. Now you might think, well, maybe it was just this one artwork. No. Other royal portraits of him feature a very similar facial structure and age and frown. Here's another Senusret. So this is your second artwork of Senusret III. Here, the fragment has a better maintained names. Ooh, what fragments? Yep. Once the fall of the Egyptian Empire, smash those statues to take away their power. But what we see here is he wears the protective cobra over the names, that beautiful fabric crown. Look at his ears. Oh my gosh, they're so big. His ears are extremely big, even bigger than Menkare's. But it's because he's a listener. He listens to his people. The set of his jaw, he pushes forward in such a way that he's almost activating the space. He's in front of us and he's present. He's not passive. Instead, he projects forward his jaw, his lips. He's listening to you. He's looking at you. That's the kind of leader he is. He's one who acknowledges, he hears, and then he leads forward. He's so dreamy.